Wills versus trusts, what every family needs to know. All right. So this is a legal disclaimer. First of all, I'd like to tell you guys, I am not a lawyer. That may surprise you because I may sound like one. But I'm not a lawyer. And I'm going to read this word for word so I don't get sued, all right? This presentation is for educational purposes only. Again, I am not an attorney, and the information provided should not be considered legal advice. Estate planning laws vary by state and individual situation. Always consult with a qualified legal professional before making any decisions regarding wills, trusts, or other estate planning matters. You are under no obligation to consult with us for your estate planning needs. However, okay, we strongly encourage you to take the necessary steps to secure your family's future. I want to hone that in. You don't need to talk to me, all right? I'm not trying to just sell you something, but I hope that one thing you take away from this is that if you don't have a plan, you should set one up. All right, what you're going to expect from this presentation. It's not long, so just bear with me, all right? The presentation is intended to give you the basic overview of wills and trusts and estate planning. There are many types of trusts. You can Google it. You're going to see a huge list. I'm not going to go into all that, but I'm going to give you a basic understanding that hopefully you'll be able to do some research and your attorney is going to help you further develop exactly what you need. The goal is to educate and empower you with the knowledge that many of us minorities in the Black community, in the Caribbean, the Latino communities, were never taught. We were never taught this. Our parents didn't know. We were never taught this in school, so here we are. Now we're starting again from scratch. All right, these lessons are learned the hard way, and we want to help you avoid costly mistakes. Keep in mind, every family situation is different. Estate planning can get very complex depending on assets, family dynamics, debts, and more. This is not legal advice. I'm not an attorney again. I work with trusted network of Florida estate planning attorneys and can connect you if needed. Let's get started. I'm going to break this all down in a plain language for you to understand. All right. Love you, girl. All right. So you see this picture right here. We're going to go into a little bit about what probate is. All right. And why this all matters. This whole legacy planning in general, why this matters. Legacy is how you leave what you worked for. I mentioned this, but minorities, specifically Black and Latino families, lose millions of dollars, millions, all right? Hundreds of millions probably throughout the United States due to the lack of estate planning. Probate is expensive. It is very slow. If any of you have ever been into any kind of court situation, including divorce, whatever, the court is not in a rush to help you, all right? This process is extremely slow and it costs you, all right? A lawyer is not going to represent you during probate for free, okay? So, and it can divide families. And I'm going to tell you guys a couple stories that we're going to get into of how it completely destroys families at times, right? And it was as simple as mom and dad having a plan. They didn't, maybe they did, but it can really divide families and create a wedge that sometimes is irreversible. All right, this is preventable with proper planning. So I'm going to show you guys a dark picture and then a really light one of how easy this can actually be. And more importantly, this is not expensive. You can do it right now. You can start right now. A will, anyone here heard of eform.com? No? Now you have. eform.com provides you all the legal resources and you pick the state that you're in. So here we're in the state of Florida, right? You go in there, you put, I'm in the state of Florida, and it's going to give you a list of all the legal forms and exactly how to fill them out. They have even how-to videos. So if you need a will and your excuse is you don't have $300 for an attorney, guess what? Go to eform.com. You're going to fill it out. You're going to type it up, answer a couple questions, and then you print it out and get it notarized. It's that simple. And you have I say $0, but the notary might charge you $10. Anybody have $10? All right. So that's number one. A trust. A trust starts at about $500. There's a couple of DIY options out there. I'm not endorsing any of them, but you can do it yourself, and it may run you about $500. And then some attorneys will even start their rates at about $500 up to $2,500. That's an average. Some of them can charge a lot more. Some of them may charge a lot less. But this is what you're looking in a good range. We're partnered with Legacy Shield. All of you guys have access to it. And the average trust, I believe, starts at about $1,000. You're going to be connected to an actual attorney who's licensed and will help you answer all the questions that you have. So that consultation is free. All right. Again, why this all matters? It's going to save you thousands of dollars, right? So let's just say on the high end, you spend $2,500. You're going to save your family tens of thousands, right? What's the going rate for a lawyer right now? About $300. How much you think the probate case takes? How long do you think it'll take? I'll give you a hint. Usually more than 1 month. All right. So what is probate? Probate is the legal process of validating a will and distributing a deceased person's assets. If there's no will, still has to go through probate. If there is a will, good job. You took a first step at estate planning. Guess what? Still has to go through probate. So now you're saying, well, what's the point of a will? Well, the judge does take into account what your wishes were, but it doesn't mean it's going to go the way you wanted it to, right? It is court supervised and can take months to complete. I think everyone gets to that point, right? During probate, debts are paid and heirs are identified. Debts are paid. If you have debts, credit card debts, a car note, the bank still owns, you still have a mortgage on the house, maybe you had medical bills. All those creditors are notified, because this is a public forum, that someone was deceased, and now they get to come after you to recoup their money. Right? Nothing is free, even in America. It may surprise you. But all right, that was a bad joke. Sorry, guys. All right. If there is no will, the state decides who inherits what, right? There's going to be a judge, and he's going to say, oh, okay, there's no will here. Who do we give this to? Assets may be frozen during this process. Legal fees and court costs reduce the value of the estate. It's 100% true, right? We have a lot of examples. I think a lot of us here have read a lot of books of the importance of estate planning with famous actors who've passed away or famous artists, and you kind of get the gist of it. But ultimately, when there isn't a plan, the court's going to decide. Someone outside of your family, outside of the realm, whether you have individuals who can inherit or not, someone else is going to decide that for you. All right, here's a scenario. The person dies without with a house in their name. The house is paid off. There's no beneficiaries named. There's nothing in a trust, no transferable on death deed, etc., right? Ladybird deed, that's what I was hinting to there. If you don't know what that is, we'll talk about it later. And there's some outstanding medical debt owed to Advent Health. Everyone knows Advent Health, right? Big hospital right up the road. This was an older gentleman. He was in his 80s and kind of already in those later days. Kids are gone. His kids passed away early as well, and they didn't have much going on, right? So he had a couple of nephews that actually lived in Jacksonville. But they wanted to inherit the house, right? Because he told them they were going to inherit it, but he never put it in the will. He didn't have a trust set up. So now, in order for them to make their claim, they have to go through the court, through a probate court. Probate is required since the person died owning the real estate and didn't place it in a trust or name the beneficiary. But even if he named the beneficiary in a will, we still have to go to probate, right? All right, the court appoints a personal representative, an executor, typically a family member or an attorney. In this case, it was an attorney. All assets of the deceased, including the house, became part of the probate estate. Creditors, like Advent Health in this case, are notified and have a legal window, typically 90 days in Florida, to file a claim. If the claim is valid and approved, it must be paid before any inheritance is distributed. He owes $80,000 to Advent Health. Do you think Advent Health is going to say, oh, don't worry about it. Keep that house. Right? It's a $500,000 house. Keep the house. Don't worry about it. Give it to the kids in Jacksonville. All right? If the estate doesn't have cash to the house, all right? If the estate doesn't have cash, the house may need to be sold off to pay off the debt. So in this scenario, can they take the home? Not directly, right? Advent Health can't just come in and say, hey, it's my house, right? No, because there's a process, right? They're in the court. So they can force a sale if the estate doesn't have any other assets to satisfy the debt. There's nothing else to pay off the medical bills. So guess what's going to happen? We're going to go ahead and sell the house. Once this home is sold through a probate proceeds, or through a probate, the proceeds go to pay the creditors first, all right? Including medical debt. Guess who else becomes a part of this little function here? Who needs their money? The lawyers. Yeah. All right, whatever is left if there's anything left, right? Because you got attorney fees too. You already had the $80,000 debt, and then since then, you had lawyers at Advent Health, even though they're on retainer, guess what? Now Advent Health has to pay for them. They got to recoup their costs. This case ended up costing $150,000 to Advent Health, or that they got to reclaim. Whatever is left, if anything, then goes to the legal heirs. So the kids up in Jacksonville ended up settling for $200,000. They had a $500,000 asset, by the way. But Advent Health came in and said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. All right, this is a true story, all right? But I want you guys to really, I want to drive this home. So last night, when I was sitting on my little computer, I went on Orange County Clerk of Court website. I pulled from April to June, we're talking about what, two months time span, April, May, June, right? We're in June now, of 2025. This is 100% current. Public record, by the way. There's nothing secret here. I didn't create an account, nothing like that. You go on my eClerk, you type in probate, right? And you're going to see a little list. You can pick the date range as well. So I picked the date range from April to June, and here you see 9 cases. Advent Health is named in one of those at least. I'll tell you that right now because I started looking. So the scenario I just played out likely is probably happening here. I'm not getting deep into those because I'm not a lawyer and whatever, but I tell you it's very likely that something like that's happening. So when these cases are created, all the assets are placed in that probate, and it was as simple as maybe just setting up a trust, listing beneficiaries on your bank